Bears win at home versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, 31-28. Get your Caleb stats real quick. 19 of 35, 239 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions, and a passer rating of 104.3. We will get to Caleb. All right, but
yeah, you forgot one gnarly fumble.
One
gnarly fumble out of that stuff.
Good point. Good
that line.
Great point. Great point. Great point. And one strip sack where he got yanked up like he had stolen something by TJ Watt, rather.
Yeah.
TJ Watt, the younger brother. Which again, we'll get there. All right. We'll get because actually outside of that, we got a lot of good Caleb stuff today, even though that was egregious. Caleb, that right there was egregious. But the thing that I want to start us off with my partner here, Alex Shapiro, I am Kenneth Davis. This is the Windy City Podcast. It's talking about the program and the culture is where I really want to go. Because, and again, this is still early because this isn't what, let me just introduce you, Alex and myself to you. We want you to be happy as Bears fans. We all want to be happy as Bears fans, but we won't sugarcoat it for you. This isn't the podcast for you here, even though Mr. Positive. So if you followed us in the past, this is Mr. Positive. Now Murky Dismal isn't with us. That's Josh Schrock, but I'm more down the middle, but I lean towards the positive side, right? But I don't want to play fairy tale stuff because that's how fans get it twisted, and that's how you're used, and you don't focus on what's really going on, and organizations can take advantage of you while you're giving them your dollars, your attention, and all your emotions.
That's when they hurt you the most, is when they give you hope. When you dream and you hope, that's when they hurt you the most.
That's when they get you. But I think one thing that we've talked about a lot on this show is how well, even without TJ Edwards playing, and please, if you haven't watched our last episode, it kind of threads in with this episode.
Yeah.
TJ Edwards hasn't been here, but Jermaine Edmonds has been playing phenomenal, even though now he's on IR, which that's concerning because you would hope it was just something where he might miss a game or two, and now he has to sit for 4 games. Hopefully they can get him back, as they said before the season. Noah Sewell being pushed in has played pretty decent. You know, he has his limitations in coverage, and that's not a knock on him. Most strong side linebackers, particularly now, they may be playing nickel a lot, but if they were playing a traditional 4-3, he would be the strong side linebacker. Yeah. Most strong side linebackers, you don't really want to get in out with the receiver or with these stretch tight ends or a good tight end. All right.
Yeah,
so
he's been good in the run game. He's been good near the line of scrimmage, but when he's had to play something other than Sam is when he's gotten into a little bit of trouble. But at Sam, he's been fine.
Yeah, at Sammy, he's been fine. But so you had DeMarco Jackson, you had Amin, I'm gonna try this, Agbangaminga.
Close.
And you had
Agbangbamiga.
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 Og water pipe Bamiga.
Agbangbamiga. Is that water pipe? Clip it. All right. Agbangbamiga. Preston action. And rookie Ruben Hypolite II was knocked out by a big-ass tight end. Nick Cloud was thrust in there. And Ozzy Trapilo, along with Luke Newman. All right, so that's where I kind of want us to kick this off at, talking about the culture and the depth that this seems like this coaching staff is providing with the guys that are pressed into action. First of all, the running. One thing we talked about a lot on Friday was if we were the Steelers, I'm running the ball all over the Bears, right? Like that was the key to any victory, and that's what the Steelers did. Kenny Gainwell, 10 attempts for 92 yards. Warren had 18 attempts for 68 yards, and we know that Gainwell got a lot of those yards on the 4th and 1. He ran for 55 yards. All right,
yep.
Which that part on what you think is going to be a tush push, they got you. That look. Yeah. We're a team with Ben Johnson as the head coach. Guess what we do? We get people. All right. So they got the Bears in that situation. So Kenny Gainwell's majority of his yards were on one play. Regardless, they were able to consistently run the ball, which shows you what, even with these backup linebackers, that you still need your starters, or at least one of them. Because I tell you, if Tremaine Edmonds was in there, they wouldn't have been able to run like that. They would have been able to, but he would have stopped a couple of those runs. But these young men pressed in action did a decent job when you're looking at what they've been asked to do at the last second to come in and do what they had to do. Your thoughts so far on the linebacker play and the Steelers run game this past day?
Honestly, I was extremely impressed. DeMarco Jackson getting the green dot, basically being the quarterback of that defense, coming to this team off waivers after training camp because he had that relationship with Dennis Allen and had some special teams chops, to being thrust into duty. So when you get the green dot, that's basically like you're the guy who's getting the calls from the sideline because only one guy can have the headset, and it's your job to communicate that to the defense, right? So that's a big job. Quarterback always does that on offense. Whoever gets the green dot on defense is essentially the QB of that defense for that moment in the huddle. And obviously he was up to the task. Ruben Hippolyte, as you said, goes down early. So now Amen Agbangbamiga is pressed into duty after. So, I mean, they just get like thinner and thinner and thinner. And I thought they did a very, very good job of keeping the ball in front of them, of rallying to the football. And it wasn't just them. It was everybody, Nashawn Wright rallying to the football. Nick McLeod, when Tyreek Stevenson went down, rallying to the football. CJ Gardner-Johnson has always done this. So there's two parts of this. One is the players. Hats off to them. Every single team talks about next man up. In reality, most teams can't get next man up done. You hurt a lot when your starters are out there. And these guys did I think, a very commendable job of keeping the ball in front of them and making tackles when they knew Mason Rudolph really couldn't press the ball downfield. If Aaron Rodgers is in there, it might be a little bit of a different story, but you play who's in front of you, and it was Mason Rudolph in front of him. And, he pushed the ball downfield 3 times. Nashawn Wright picked one off. He nearly picked another one off. And then there was one long completion to Skoranek. But other than that, the Steelers really tried to dink and dunk the Bears to death. And those linebackers racked up tackles, just being like, okay, we're just going to keep the ball in front of us and we're not going to let you make a big play. So that's great. The second half of this, I think it was an absolute master class from Dennis Allen, understanding his personnel and putting his personnel in positions to succeed. I'm going to break this down in a few different ways. So the way the Bears started, it was really interesting because we had no idea really what was going on. We talked about Ruben Hippolyte probably playing. We talked about DeMarco Jackson probably playing, but we're like, what is going to be the other option? Early on, it was a bit of a surprise to me. Daniel Hardy kind of playing this hybrid defensive end 5-down front thing that the Bears kind of messed around with over the summer, and then sometimes playing an off-the-ball linebacker. And early in the game, just wasn't working. In that really long, that 95-yard touchdown drive that the Steelers had really early, the Bears did a great job of pinning them back with the Cairo Santos dirty kickoff, and we should put a pin in that. I want to talk about the Cairo Santos kickoffs. It just wasn't working, right? Daniel Hardy wasn't getting it done. So Dennis Allen adjusts really quickly. Before halftime adjusts and says, okay, that's not working out. Ruben Hippolyte getting hurt maybe plays a role in this as well. But now it's Amen Agbangbamiga playing in place of Ruben Hippolyte. And instead of Daniel Hardy being out there, we saw a lot of single high looks, a lot of CJ Gardner-Johnson. And they were mixing it up, a lot of single high safety, which the Bears haven't done very much, getting another safety in the box. Sometimes it was Kevin Byard. Sometimes it was Jaquan Brisker, right? And that really, really helped. So now you're using a safety essentially as an extra linebacker and kind of changing what you're doing. And then Amen Agbangbamiga gets hurt. So now it's like, whoa, what are we going to do now? I don't even know who the Bears had left. Maybe Carl Jones Jr. I don't know if he was inactive or not. I don't honestly recall.
He was active. I believe he was. I remember
he was active.
I believe he was active.
But they didn't go Carl Jones Jr. What they did is for the rest of the game, and it was only a few more series. He goes, okay, our best group now is our defensive backs, even though Tyreek Stevenson's out. So they went to a bunch of dime, right? Instead of putting in Carl Jones Jr., they say, hey, you know what? We feel a little bit better about Elijah Hicks. So now they went back to a 2-high look, Elijah Hicks and Kevin Byard, and now we have Jaquan Brisker essentially playing linebacker. Now, for real, not doing this thing where he's shading into the box. They just had him down in the box, and then they had Elijah Hicks in there. So, again, Dennis Allen just being so flexible, having such a great understanding of his personnel and what is the best way for us to get these stops. And it came through, right? At the very end of the game, with the game on the line, what happens? Jaquan Brisker, who is not really playing safety anymore, who is playing in the box, gets up at the line of scrimmage, bats the ball down, game over. So, again, the guys who were next man up, they completely executed. Good job on them. But Dennis Allen also, his flexibility and adaptability throughout that game. I mean, they changed up like a few different times what they were doing until they got something that worked. And it did work. They really stopped the bleeding after kind of a rough start.
They did. That was impressive for him to be able to adapt as quickly. Also, I mean, by now he knows his personnel, but this isn't like the situations where in New Orleans, he knew the personnel for years. You like right. Some of those guys were with him for an extremely long amount of time. To see that, I saw in Brad Biggs of the Tribune's article today, him talking to Tyson Bagent, and Tyson Bagent talking about how the past regimes never had the backups ready in this manner. I would say you could say it's a knock because of record and depending on where they are, during the season, but how they make it a point to make sure that everyone is approached to know, hey, you're going to probably get thrown in there. Particularly, you talked about Dennis Allen. It was talked about how he keeps players ready and sturdy because you never know. And a lot of people give lip service to that, but it showed in this game. And this isn't a weak organization. Regardless, if Aaron Rodgers is playing, the outcome is probably different if you look at the score. All right. Because he's going to take advantage of the personnel issues. He's too crafty not to take advantage, even with him not being as strong as he was a few years ago. He's still really good quarterback. But they were able to pull it off, and it just goes to show that this is perhaps the regime that we hope that we're going to have moving forward. On the flip side of that, you and I were talking. You had Ozzy Trapilo. Pressed into action and left. And we had a discussion 2 shows ago about what about the left tackle and how would this go? And you broke out the number system on the fly for us as far as if you flip this guy and if he's this, but the guy that replaces him, go look at the past episodes, please. But your thoughts, because it's something that you did text about, was Ozzy Trapilo. Your thoughts right now on what you saw or didn't see, and I mean that in a good fashion, from Ozzy Trapilo being pressed in at left tackle, something that a lot of people were hoping perhaps he would jump into that position when he got drafted in the second round.
I think solid job, honestly. He didn't have a huge moment where he gives up a big sack or gives up a big pressure. I actually think Darnell Wright struggled a little bit more in terms of that, right? Darnell Wright is the guy who let TJ Watt in for that touchdown. And then Darnell Wright at the end of the game, and it was a long time. I don't know. I think
it's not just the length of time; it was also the angle. Because
it was tough. I mean, TJ Watt's a great player.
Yeah, TJ Watt. But what? Okay, wait. But if Darnell Wright is him, this is when you show us you're him. When you're playing against great players. But the point that because I had to watch that several times. Because at first I was like, did he just beat him? Now I was like, wait. Part of it is the angle, because when Caleb came out, it gave TJ an easier shot at getting to him, but Darnell Wright was still beaten. Like he was trying to, and then Caleb, that was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be one of those days, because that was like early Caleb, but that we're not gonna do Caleb just yet. We start talking about Ozzy Trapilo. We're gonna get there or whatever.
I have one more Darnell Wright moment that I thought was like actually kind of a big deal towards that end of the game, because the defense won this game, right? This was an opportunity where the offense had 2 shots to go win this game, right? To just run clock and win this game. And their very last possession, when they went 3 and out and gave the Steelers the ball one last time, the Bears were facing a 3rd and 7. And truth be told, I do not know what the Bears are taught. I am not 100% certain on what the blocking scheme is. But when I watched this play many times, and I am pretty certain that Darnell Wright missed his guy, that he took Jonah Jackson's guy, and they kind of doubled the the guy maybe when they shouldn't have. Now, I do know that the Bears do like to combo block in run blocking where they go up to one guy on the line and then another guy peels off to the second level. We've seen that a ton, right? But this was a passing situation. And you can see where Darnell Wright kind of shifts left. And, oh, wait, that's Jonah Jackson's guy. And actually, Patrick Queen is really the guy coming off the far side. And Patrick Queen got a free run at Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams has to throw the ball away. And he did a good job of throwing the ball. Did you not turn this into a mega disaster like what had happened previously in the game? He just says, okay, this play is dead. I'm throwing a fastball, and either Roma Dunze is catching it with a crazy catch along the sideline, or we're punting. And those are the only two outcomes here, right? But I think that was another moment where Darnell Wright whiffed on who he was supposed to pick up. And that allowed the free rusher that created the throwaway on that 3rd and 7 on that very last possession. So 2 notes on Darnell Wright, even though I know you asked me about Ozzy Trapilo. My point is I didn't have any moments like that where I was like, Ozzy Trapilo obviously screwed up. I'm sure there are moments where he had missed assignments and we have no idea. But he didn't have the obvious screw up, which is big. But here's the other thing I also kind of noticed. All that wide zone stuff and running behind Theo Benedict that the Bears have done, or running behind Braxton Jones and letting him get out in space and let him be the lead blocker. We didn't really see any of that either. We didn't see anything of like, okay, you're going to be the point of attack here, and we're going to run this ball left behind you. And the run game did kind of take a step back. So the pass pro was solid, great, but I think it's a little telling that the run game, in my opinion, again, like we're not watching the L-22. The L-22 isn't out yet. But to me, it did not look like, hey, we are going to make you the point of attack on our run game either. So take that with what you will. For a first start, I think that's pretty solid, right? To just like, that's a pretty fearsome Steelers pass rush. And there was no moment where I was like, oh man, Ozzy Trapilo just fully olayed there. So solid, really, really, really solid. And obviously, like he's got room to grow. He's got room to grow for him to be that point of attack guy.
Yeah. And I mean, again, Daniel Wright has now risen his ceiling.
Yeah.
To where expectations were when he was drafted by the Bears. But now it's kind of even higher than that because you've seen him sustainably be one of a top 5 right tackle in the league for a decent amount of the season while injured. He has to get better against Hall of Fame players. Like if he's going to take the next step, and not to say that you don't get beat occasionally by the Hall of Fame player, but it's an even Steven, where he gets Caleb once, but then you basically yak his ass up for the rest of the game. Like that it has to be that way if he's going to be Timothy, as we say, Alex. If he's going to be that, he has to be that player. It's funny. I saw this. I saw on social media, Brian Baldinger had this clip, and it had all of like the offensive or majority of the offensive rookies on that one play, where it had Ozzy Trapilo was there. You had Newman in, so that was when Jonah Jackson was out. You had Luther Burden. Blocking down the field. I don't know if it was the pass to Colston or not. Was it the touchdown pass to Colston or not? But your guys and a lot of people, that was Luke is one thing because of where he was drafted, and you also already have guards here, so it's good that he got reps. But guys that you were depending on, we're talking 2nd round picks. You're usually dependent on the 2nd round pick, and for them to help you in this victory is a positive. It has to go further than this moving forward. But yeah, it was good because when you text me and you was like, I think Trapilo's playing decent. And I was like, I was like, I think he is too, because you didn't see, how he was playing decent? How many left twirls did Caleb do? Right?
Not many.
Right. Usually he's coming from this way. Right. You usually see that, and you didn't see that. Okay. You want to get to Caleb now? Do you have anything else?
Yeah. Now let's get to Caleb Williams.
All right. Caleb, what the hell were you doing? At that point, the play was already broken and you were in the end zone. All right. It was safety type business. you had to get rid of the ball, and all you had to do was get rid of the damn ball, and you just didn't allow TJ Watt to yank you down, all right, to slam you like a rag doll. You almost could have got yourself hurt. And that's the thing I keep harping on. At one point, you're young, but you can injure that young, youthful body to the point it ain't the same young, youthful body. Because that was a nasty slam that TJ Watt did. But this was one of the best games. This may have been for me. Take all of the heroics of what Caleb has done out this year. So I'm not talking about the last minute things that Caleb has done. On structure, I think this was his best game. Like, it was a lot of 1, 2, 3 ball out. It was a lot of the play is broken, throw it away. It was like that. It was like, oh my, he gets it, right? It's like, oh, it's clicking. And like that, you want that because you know he has all the talent. But if he himself can't refine what he's doing and doesn't know, look, you got the weapons, you are going to get more bites at the apple. You don't have to do something that's going to compromise the team. This made me feel, Alex, and I want to ask you how you felt. This made me feel so good about his progress during the season, particularly now entering into a rough patch when the competition is increasing. That you have to know some of the things that you're allowed to get away with, some of these sorry ass teams, can really cost and put you out of the game to where that fourth quarter comeback is going to be almost insurmountable for you to pull anything off. But your thoughts on Caleb Williams' performance yesterday, Alex?
I agree with you, but it was like kind of the duplicity of Caleb Williams kind of again. I agree with you. Like, in terms of playing in structure, going through his progressions and making a throw in the rhythm of the offense and throwing balls with anticipation.
Yep.
Throwing balls before guys are out of their breaks. I think it's the best we've seen from Caleb Williams from a pure volume standpoint. He did that time and time again. All 3 of his touchdown passes are like legit perfect, in time. The ball is in the air before these guys have made their breaks because he's like, I'm trusting my guy is going to be there. I'm putting it in the spot where they're supposed to be. They were supposed to be there. I mean, those 3 touchdowns. And the DJ Moore one, I mean, it's wide open, right? Because it's like beautiful play design to get a guy open.
Right.
But he still makes a perfect ball. He still makes a perfect throw. The Colson Loveland throw and the first DJ Moore touchdown. I mean, all fantastic. And then there are other ones in the middle of the field. He hits DJ Moore again, hitting Luther Burden, where it looks wonderful. And then there were you want to jump in?
No. Finish what you're saying, please.
Okay. But then there were also moments where it's just like, I don't know. There were moments where he's sailing the ball. Now, here's what's good. It's like he continues to challenge tight windows, which is what you want your number 1 overall quarterback to do, right? You want him to throw the ball into tight spaces to make hard completions. And he's done that all year long. But on Sunday, I thought he was just like a little bit off. He was challenging a tight window, right? Over a linebacker in front of a safety, sailing it a little bit. There was one he got away with, should have been intercepted, right? Mm-hmm. And he had a few of those, a little bit behind a receiver, a little bit in front of a receiver, just like not fully accurate, not fully dialed in. But then I think, so then you have the fumble, which is just like a really bad decision. You can almost see the gears turning, like, okay, make a play. Okay, don't throw the ball away because it's going to be an intentional grounding and I'm in the end zone and it's, an intentional grounding in the end zone is going to be a safety. And, I think a guy is getting open and I'm going to try and underhand toss it, right? You can like almost see all those gears turning as he's trying to avoid disaster, but it just led to like the biggest disaster possible where we're taking a sack for a safety. He would have gotten skewered for taking that sack, but it's 5 points, not so bad.
2 to 5 is, 2 to 6 is a totally different
right
thing.
Exactly. But then the other one that also I think was really, really tough, and this was the first of the Bears' 2 opportunities to end the game on offense at the end of the game. He takes that brutal delay a game on 3rd and 8, where it's like he gets confused by what he's seeing and he's kind of processing, and then he just completely seemingly lost track of the play clock and takes the delay game. Now I'm going to add a little side dish of blame and a little side dish of accountability to Ben Johnson there. That's an opportunity where the head coach can also recognize, like, whoa, my QB has no idea what's going on. Timeout, right? Like as Ben Johnson is also seeing this play out, as it gets to 1 second, Ben Johnson can call a timeout. Most of the blame goes on Caleb Williams there, but like Ben Johnson can help your guy out there a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then what happens? They go to 3rd and 13 and they get like 11. So if they hadn't taken the delay of game, now you got a first down. Now it's like, okay, now we can really ice this game here.
Yeah,
right. You can really ice that game, but they end up going 3 and out twice in a row, and he played a role in that with delay of game. So again, like at moments, you're like, this is the number 1 pick in the draft. He's doing it. The Bears are clicking. Ben Johnson's scheming up beautiful plays, and they're executing, and the quarterback is leading the way. And then again, it's other moments where it's like, oh man, you simply can't do that. But whatever, he's still a young quarterback, and this is the roller coaster, right? This is the roller coaster ride that we are on in year 1.
You're hot this show, boy. You are. Okay. One thing that we talked about in the past, and I think, and that you got on me, and I think we saw the point that I was trying to make when I was talking about trusting that the players were going to be there and just letting the ball go, playing in structure because he was holding on to the ball too long. And we couldn't see it during the game because we don't know who's open because they're going to be featured on the line of scrimmage. The camera angles are going to be until the ball is passed. So we don't get to see unless we're watching all 22. All right. Second thing, though, and this is a point, I think Caleb will get better. I loved everything you said about the ball sailing and behind and in front of players. I think some of that he'll get better just because he'll grow and become more accurate. I always say this, some of it's due to his height, because Caleb isn't tall enough to throw over offensive linemen. He's either throwing through, I think I see that they're open, I'm throwing it up there to get it. It's not Josh Allen where I'm looking over 6'6" lineman. I can see, like if I get on my tippy toes, I can see the whole entire field. And then you saw he's throwing through lanes. So like, for instance, the pass to Rome, it was because he had to throw it through that lane where the guards and the thing was center guard. I don't know if it was guard tackle, but he had to throw through the lane. And that's just what happens when your quarterback 6'1". Like some of that is you got to do, just like, and we haven't seen it as much, batted balls will always be somewhat of an issue. You know what I'm saying? Like it just will because of his height. But everything, I thought you were hot. All right, on this one, you're coming in hot.
We're aligned on Caleb Williams, Kenneth. We're aligned.
Yeah, we are definitely because you're right. It's not all peaches and cream. You know what I'm saying? Like there's still growth, particularly when you're playing the most important position. And as you said, you're the number 1 pick in the draft. You're a large reason why Ben Johnson chose to come here, and you have to be damn good. Like in all fairness, particularly because you talk the talk, so you need to walk the walk. So we'll see if he can continue to grow, and will he hit a ceiling, or will he reach his zenith and become one of the better quarterbacks within the NFL? One thing that we did, and you had anything else you want to say about Caleb?
No.
One thing that we talked about on our last episode, we're talking about 10 things for 10 games. DJ needs to get the ball. Like that like it makes no sense because think about this. Now it's going to open up more stuff for Rome, right? Like it's going to open up more stuff for Colston when people are like, yo, they're taking advantage of this really good receiver that they have. Like you don't have to try to force it, putting him in positions that he's not used to, i.e., and we talked about this, like St. Brown, where you're throwing him in the backfield. And in all fairness, I'm not saying sometimes maybe on some jet sweeps, that's really, when you look at it, that's not DJ's game. I know he's a stout receiver, so it gives off running back-esque type things. Now, he does it in distance when he gets yacked, when he shows how hard it is to bring him down. But you had to get DJ the ball, and I'm happy that he was featured in this game because it doesn't make sense not to, because the Bears have an abundance of weapons on offense. You have 2 good tight ends. You have 2.5 really nice receivers. And don't take the half as a knock. It's not a knock. It's because Zacchaeus could be having a good game. Burden could be having a good. Okay, let's just put them together. You got 3. No, I think 2.5 is good because you just got to get there. There's a level. There's levels to this.
I'll give you the reason why Luther Burden is still a half. I'm searching for it in my notes.
Well, you saw Zacchaeus supplemented him at one point in the game where it was a lot more Zacchaeus, and you didn't see Luther Burden out there nearly as much as you did at the beginning of the game.
Well, I think there was one moment. So Luther Burden, still undoubtedly with the ball in his hands is very dangerous. Like that window dressing play where it was the fake handoff, and then it was the pitch, and then it was the reverse, and Luther Burden now has the ball, and Caleb Williams is blocking out in front, taking up space. That's a phenomenal play design, and Luther Burden is executing it. I am struggling to find when it happened, but there was a big moment in the game where Luther Burden clearly does not know what he is doing, and the Bears end up taking an illegal formation or an illegal shift penalty because of it. It's exactly how it plays out. Luther Burden is starting to motion, and then Caleb Williams has to be like, no, stay there. And then Luther Burden is like, what? And then he's looking to the officials to be like, am I lined up on sides? Meanwhile, the ball is snapped. And because he never got set because he didn't know where he was, and then he didn't know if he was lined up on side, because of all of that not knowing, Bears got a penalty. So that's the stuff that we're talking about where it's like Luther Burden needs to learn the playbook. Luther Burden needs to learn these things so that coaches can trust that he will be in the right place. That is the perfect example of Luther Burden not knowing where to be, not knowing what's going on. It cost the Bears with a penalty. So I think those are the moments where it's like, okay, yeah, Zacchaeus just knows where to line up and knows the shift and all of that stuff.
Right.
No penalty. So that's why it's 2.5.
Again, so look, thank you for a couple.
Yeah.
Look,
no,
so can I get on my old man porch real quick? I just
get on it.
My porch looks lonely. I think I need to jump on there real quick. All right. So if you've watched us, I always like to comment on things on broadcasting. I need the director or whoever is calling the shots as far as who you're going to put the camera on at this second to know. For instance, I forget the right tackle for the Steelers is it's the FANT. Fontenot, because I believe he was one of the guys that we were looking at in past drafts, perhaps, because we always look for linemen in some of our past drafts. But there was an issue, and when you brought the Burden thing up, it popped in my head. There's an issue where he was uncovered because no receivers on that side stepped up to the line, right? And they kept the camera on him like he did something wrong because the person is hearing, well, he was left uncovered. But there, so if anybody doesn't know, usually what Alex just said about Luther Burden. So let's just say that happened with Luther Burden. Usually while the announcers are talking about it, the camera's going to be on the up, which will be Burden in that specific instance, right? So they had the camera on Fontenot like he did something wrong. And it's like, why do you keep the camera? He didn't do anything. The receiver didn't get up on cover. And that frustrates me because it's like, dog, you should know. Someone has to know this. I need you to know this, please. All right. That is me coming from the porch. I will step down or go in the house now. But that stuff like that irritates me because I think about this. It's just one of the aspects of the things that we do and going to media school, and also just growing up with great announcers and people knowing and loving. And I understand that there are a lot more games that are broadcast now. And it's funny because I was having a discussion with a friend of ours, James Naveau. And James was like, man, but maybe it's because there's so many more games that, you have to have more crews out there and it stretches thin and it stretches the talent thin or whatever. And I was like, that's a good explanation or whatever for it or whatever. So again, but in all fairness, since the NFL has been on TV, just to say modern NFL, like our lives, all the games are being broadcast someplace. The home team, even if they're blacked out, they still broadcast for the opposing team. There's always crews, all right? There's enough crews for every game that comes on Sunday. But I just wanted to say that as far as something that burned my side. But I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Would you have preferred, are you a person that's like, to be the best, you got to beat the best? Like I guess I'm getting Ted DiBiase out here.
Sure.
My name. Yeah, but for anybody that's old wrestling fanatics, because like a part of me wanted them to play Aaron Rodgers, particularly because it'd be cool if he was kind of injured. And I don't mean to risk anything bad, but it'd be like, get him, right? But it was still like the Bears need every victory that they can get. Just because the narrative needs to switch. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's only so many times you can win the offseason. The offseason darlings or whatever, and nothing comes to fruition. So it's good. And also they need to create as much distance as possible when the rest of the NFC North, I was about to say Central to let you know how old I am, starts to jockey for position, and they start to play those teams at the remainder of the season. So they needed the victory. And a part of me, unfortunately, and this is going to be like, Ken, you're ruining it. I don't think they would have beat Aaron Rodgers what took place yesterday, just because it was a closer game. And I mean, I know one of those touchdowns your quarterback gave away. You know what I'm saying? So, but still, that had nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers or the quarterback of the opposing team. But your thoughts on, did you want Aaron Rodgers to play, or did it matter? Or it didn't matter?
I mean, to be honest, that thought doesn't really cross my mind about like want or not want. It's like, this is the situation that is in front of us. So that's what's happening. From a storyline standpoint, I think it would have been fantastic, right? I mean, what an opportunity for the Bears to rip back their deed to Soldier Field and to slay one last demon, right? Like they're slaying all kinds of demons this year, and that would have been another great check mark in the narrative department. But in terms of like the football of it all, you play who's in front of you. And I guess to the narrative of like, oh, the Bears haven't played anybody. Oh, they finally beat a team with a winning record, but it was Mason Rudolph and not Aaron Rodgers. It's like, I hear some of that, but at the same time, like, I remember when, the Bears are losing to Colin Kaepernick in his first start, or the Bears are losing to Brock Osweiler in their first start, or like Brent Huntley is playing for Aaron Rodgers, right? The backup for Aaron Rodgers. Brent Huntley's in, and the Bears are losing to Brent Huntley. So it's like, I hear some of that, but like the Bears are also kind of exercising some demons by being bum slayers, right? To be a good football team, you need to be a bum slayer first, and then we'll see if you're a great football team, if you can beat another great football team. Which the Bears, are people going to be like, oh well, the Bears didn't really beat the Eagles because Lane Johnson's out, and Saquon Barkley's struggling, and it's not last year's Eagles. Like you can come up with narratives for all of that stuff. For all that stuff. It's like the Bears are winning football games, man. They're 8-3, and I do think they are good.
I have, for instance, I'm happy with the situation that they're in. And I'm usually not a meatball. Like I usually like. Sure. I'm very lean meatball. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not really a meatball.
You're 80% lean. You're not 80% lean, 20% fat. You're the 97% lean, 3% fat.
I'm pretty. I just because like you say, like everything you said is correct in how you should feel. But again, fan is short for fanatic, and you get wrapped up in this is us being on fan sided. Let just as far as fans. So it just crossed my mind. But I like how you brought that down. Even though I'll say this. I think it'll be different on Black Friday if the Bears are playing the Eagles without Jalen Hurts. Then it would be more. And also, Saquon is going to be out there. Him having the bad year ain't got nothing to do with us. Same with A.J. Brown. But, and man, did you see my fantasy team yesterday? But same as
oh, no, I missed it.
Oh, man. I'm sitting at 195 right now. With like, Jahmyr Gibbs went off. He gave me 64 points. It was nuts. I wish I was fighting. I mean, I wish the game was against you just so we had something to talk about here.
Seriously.
But it was. I put the Browns defense, so I got that. That was nasty, right? Carl Pickens went off. I mean, I'm browbeating people out here. I got Stafford, Adams. It was nasty business all throughout the streets. Anyway, enough of that. That's not
true. It's a bummer. I think we played each other in fantasy before this show got up and running, so I didn't even really get to brag about it on air.
Right.
I guess I'll just have to beat you in the playoffs, and then I could brag about it.
Bring it. Bring it. My guys are humming right now, boys. My guys are going. Shout out to Dan Campbell taking over the O. But one thing too, we get something. All right, the Alex has talked about. Let's give him his props, and this is for me. There was a lot of Tez effects yesterday. Montez Sweat was busy. One, of course, with the sacks, but he had that one play where he kept the runner in the backfield, right? Like that's what I'm talking about. Like, and that doesn't show up on the stat or whatever. But and it'd be different if Montez Sweat was a power guy with no speed and be like, all right, he has limitations. But you see how he can do almost everything. You know what I'm saying? And it's so that was the game. They needed what he did yesterday. You know, he would have had 3 sacks easy yesterday, but Mason spun up out of one of them. But Montez Sweat had a game, in saying that, he has to have more games like that. Right? Like he does. He has to play consistently at that level. It doesn't mean it's going to be an almost 3-sack game every game. But again, you see how unstoppable he is and how it could benefit you in close games, because again, probably without what he did, the Bears, that was a squeak out victory. They may have not been able to squeak out that victory. Your thoughts on Montez's play yesterday, Alex?
Yeah, absolute Tez effect. I mean, you said it perfectly. I have pretty much nothing to add there. The guy was a force multiplier out there, and and was doing the stuff the Bears wanted to see when they brought him over and signed him to that big contract. Great stuff from Montez Sweat.
Anything else, or you want to get to the game balls and extra points?
I do want to touch on Cairo Santos and the dirty kickoff stuff a little bit, because I think special teams, hey, we've been tough on special teams a lot this year. And a lot of that has been kickoff coverage. So hats off to Hightower and Cairo Santos for figuring something out that really worked on Sunday. And I'll give another dig to the broadcast crew because we missed one of them on TV, actually. So Cairo Santos doing this funky knuckleball kick that really confused the Steelers return men. Great job. He had that like fluttering kick, lands it in the landing zone. The guys can't really field it properly, and it allowed the coverage to get down there and stop him. And then another one, he lands it in this is the one that we did not see on the broadcast because they didn't get over in time somehow. Landed a kick in the landing zone, and it goes for a touchback, but because it landed and then was a touchback, it only goes to the 20, a real old school touchback, instead of to the 35. I'm old enough to remember when touchbacks were at the 20-yard line like 9 different kickoff rules ago.
Man, that's a long time.
So okay, hey, our coverage isn't working out. Let's try something that we can have Cairo do and really mess with the guys to help our guys get out of bad situations. So hats off to that kickoff team. I thought that was really effective, and I bet we'll see more of it.
Yeah, and good point. We do need to give Hightower and his props for what he did, and that's what you're supposed to do, particularly when your face of the ball haven't been living up to expectations. So, and it's been costly, and they've been really lucky that even though the special teams, particularly coverage, has been suspect, and also the punting hasn't been to the level of a 4th rounder, as we've discussed. I won't jump into that one again right now. But man, every time like a 4th rounder, that's what pops up in my head. All right, just like that. Like, oh my God. I mean, people don't understand. Like, it's crazy now. Like, I'm old enough, as Alex said, when the Bears drafted Todd Sauerbrunn, and people were like, "What in the hell are you doing drafting him where you drafted him?" Right? It was, and the problem also is it puts so much pressure on that player that it's hard for them to live up to that expectation at the first stop, if they ever live up to that expectation. But anyway, that's a discussion for another day. I lost my train of thought.
I think we were about to do game balls.
Okay, game balls. You give yours first. Who you giving your game ball to?
Can you go first? Because I have 2 options and I can't decide.
Oh, I feel the same way. I was going to give you. I'll take one option because I feel like this option belongs to you. Maybe you won't take it. I'll say Nahshon Wright. Doing Nahshon Wright. I'll say Nahshon Wright because I think, and again, I know ad nauseum, I think someone coming off the streets, and I really mean that as an unheralded player who even at other destinations wasn't looked at as him, to be such a factor in victories and to have 7 takeaways now, I believe he has. And that's
Between
including
fumbles
interceptions and fumbles. Yeah, fumbles. I think he's at 7, right?
Wow.
That just lets you know the importance of what he's provided when one of the better cornerbacks in the league that is a part of your team has been out for the entirety of the season. Like you need sparks, regardless. It's not a perfect circle in a circle, but you still need someone that can fit in there and clog it up enough to hold until that player perhaps can come back, or you figure out how to remedy the situation with another player or scheme. So I will give my game ball, because I hope I'm doing a layup, but I will give
We might have to do multiple game balls. That's a great call. I'm really glad you gave a game ball to Nashawn Wright, because we should have given him more flowers earlier. I think it's maybe time to start. I'm maybe talking reckless here. It's maybe time to start talking Pro Bowl for Nashawn Wright. I mean, that interception was ludicrous. And like, I wonder if that honestly kind of like shut down the Steelers throwing downfield for the rest of the game. Because they really didn't do it that much after that second play of the game, right? Second play for the Steelers offense. And then he was so good in the run game too, near the line of scrimmage. He was also like causing havoc, sticking his nose in with the run game when he was elevated to CB1 at some point, right? Tyreek Stevenson goes down. This is a guy who, like, I thought was going to be a depth piece when the Bears signed him, and now is CB1 of this team and playing pretty darn good. So great call with Nashawn Wright.
Won't be here for long. Won't be here for long, Alex.
I don't know.
I mean, how many guys are they going to be able to? We just said we want CJ to remain here, right? But you could find play. Yeah. So you're saying, I mean, just hypothetically before we get off of this, and this is a good thing, everybody, because when your team is playing well, players get picked off of your team, right?
Yeah.
But if you're saying that Tyreek Stevenson, and it's got to almost be time for him to get paid, Tyreek Stevenson is your starter, and you already played Jalen Johnson, right? Mm-hmm. Will Nashawn Wright, now it depends on, maybe some teams have to, I mean, if they're going to pay him, he's going to be a starter. No one's going to pay him premium money to be, he's not a nickel cornerback, so he's not playing nickel. It's going to be a boundary corner. What do they do if he's offered? I mean, he's a guy that clearly your program, he fits in your program. If he could be a depth piece, like, man, that'd be sick. But anyway, that's all I have.
Unbelievable. You want to talk about somebody making the most of the opportunity. So great game ball. Can I give 2, and then can I leave another one for you?
If I have one, go right ahead. You may get mine. Go ahead.
I don't think so. Maybe not. Okay. I'm going to give 2, and it's going to be a unit. It's going to be a clump. I'm giving game balls to DeMarco Jackson and Amen Ogbongbemiga. I mean, the next man up of it all. Was it perfect? I'm sure not. But I mean, like, those guys did a really, really great job of, again, flying to the football. When Kenneth is talking about Montez Sweat hanging guys back and keeping them occupied, those guys were flying to the football to help make the stops, right? Kept everything in front of them. Pretty much thwarted, or played a big role in thwarting the Steelers' dink and dunk plan, the bend don't break thing with those two guys in the middle, coming off of like nobody thought these guys were going to start football games at this point this year. Here they are. They did a dang good job. So DeMarco Jackson and Amen Ogbongbemiga get 2 game balls. I'll finish it
with the guy. For now, we did every level of defense, so let's finish it with Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat had a game yesterday, and if I'm going to ask more from him, I got to give him his props when he provides that addition. So Montez Sweat with 2 sacks, but also popping up in a lot of different places when they needed everything they can get without the linebackers being there, as Alex just pointed out with his game balls. Shout out to Tez, man. Tez had a good game. Hopefully he can keep it up moving forward throughout the remainder of the season.
All right, great. You want an extra point real quick?
Yeah, I got an extra point.
All right, I got one too.
This is a football one. This is actually still pertaining to this game. Okay. And I was thinking I was going to say something, but we had moved on, and I was like, and I was like, wait, save it for the extra point. I want to say something to Caleb that it sung into me in my heart. All right, and you've said a lot about old man stuff when you were talking about the touchback in the 20-yard line, how simpler times, as they would put it, right?
Yeah.
That first touchdown pass, right? And Caleb, one of the quarterbacks that he points out liking is Aaron, like he has Aaron Rodgers type things. His throw to the right on the run is so much Aaron Rodgers is ridiculous, right? Like when he's off the ground throwing the ball, you could tell that he grew up admiring. And there's, Aaron Rodgers has his issues, but physically he's one of the most gifted quarterbacks to ever play football. Regardless of how you feel about him being the Packers, he was him. Seriously, for a period of time, right? If there was Tom Brady, he was more physically gifted. Tom Brady was a better player, a greater player, right? But there was free plays. And as someone growing up back in the day, the free play at times, particularly in the Bears uniform, has gone away. And I'm talking about offsides. You got a free play. If they intercept it, who cares? Which, in one of the free plays, it was intercepted. And you know what? It didn't matter, right? That's what the great part about and that is also coaching, where it's like, it's a free play. Do something daring, right? You may get a pass interference for all you know, but the free play touchdown or free play deep pass has been missing from Bears games and a lot of teams nowadays in this NFL. And to see Caleb get the free play and take advantage of it, it sung to my heart, and I wanted to put that as my extra point for this episode.
Excellent point. Another thing that I forgot about, he did that multiple times. The hard count was really effective. Wasn't the last DJ Moore touchdown a free play also?
Yes. I think I flipped it. I think I said the first one. I meant to say the second one. But it was it was the second one because that was where
that
Rome
was the one where it was wide
Rome crossed the face of the safety. Yes, that one. And that to me is just
Yeah, no, that hard count was working. Great call. And you're right. That was still is, because Aaron Rodgers still plays. That is the Aaron Rodgers specialty.
Oh,
the
yes.
Free play. I'm going to punish you because I'm going to take a shot,
Yep.
And here's the thing. The guy who intercepted the ball, put the ball on the ground. It was nearly, it was nearly like, actually,
it's a
we'll
pass.
take it. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, excellent point, Kenneth. Mine has nothing to do with football whatsoever. Mine is way out of left field. Okay. It is a Korean reality TV show that my wife and I just binged big time. So my wife was out of town and I was like, all right, let me put something on that I don't think she'll like. So I picked this show called The Devil's Plan, which is basically a game theory reality game. Like if you love board games and figuring out how to optimize board games, or just loving this is the absolute best way to win a thing, this is the show for you. Basically a lot of extremely smart people given familiar games with little tweaks. For instance, they play poker. They play 7-card stud, but instead of being given cards to make poker hands, they're given numbers and like math things like multiplication, addition, subtraction to make equations. And they have to make their equations either as close to 1 as possible or as close to 20 as possible. And then they play high-low 7-card stud based off that. So it's like that. Phenomenal show if you want to see extremely smart people really figure out how to play these games to the best of the ability, and the strategies that these people come up with, all living in a house together, remarkable. So if you're like a weird game theory sicko, The Devil's Plan, Korean reality television, great stuff. Really enjoyed it.
I love that. That's a great one. All right. We will be back. Actually, you know what? It just crossed my mind. We will definitely be here for Black Friday. After the Bears versus the Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles, but we have to plan our midweek show because it's usually on Friday. So our
midweek show might be a post game show.
Oh, okay, whatever.
We'll see.
I'm just pointing it out. All right, for Alex Shapiro, I am Kenneth Davis here on the Windy City Podcast with Fansided. We always appreciate you taking some time, and also, regardless of whatever, you celebrate Thanksgiving, you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, be thankful and be safe out there. And we look forward to seeing you down the line.